Good morning, everybody. How y'all doing? Hope you're doing good. See, I'm definitely feeling better. Yeah. Um, uh, if you've been following along, you know I've been having some issues this past weekend with my breathing difficulties with the smoke from the wildfires moving into the area, and especially this past weekend. Well, when was it? I think it was Saturday night. Yeah, Saturday night. Um, I wound up having to uh, breathe in from my steroid inhaler. I try not to do it because steroids, even as an inhaler, can have a tendency to mess up your diabetes and so forth. Sends your blood sugars through the roof. I don't understand why it happens, but for some reason it does. And yeah, it definitely did a little bit. But what was weird is what wound up happening as a side effect with my body. It was like it got into all my joints and so forth, and just was making everything very stiff. Um, and yeah, Sunday I was trying to move a lot more to try and work it out and everything. But then yesterday, I thought I had gotten it out of my system. And unfortunately, I guess I didn't. I just was. I went out, tried to work Sunday night. I didn't work last night. Excuse me. But it was like I just felt like my body was in an anaerobic mode. I was just breathing very shallow. My chest felt very heavy, not like pressure being in there. It just felt really heavy, and it was so difficult trying to be able to have my chest go out so I could breathe in. Um, and I know it still sounds kind of funky or whatever, but anywho, um, but yeah, I felt like I was dragging my body behind me with everything, with trying to move anywhere. And then, of course, I wound up having to go down to the pharmacy to get a COVID test. I'm like, let's just double check, make sure. Even though I knew deep down inside I didn't have COVID, I knew because I'm fully aware of my body. It's so I can't stress it enough for people to become more aware of your body and its little. And it's not about being a hypochondriac or anything. It just, when things like this come up, then that way, and also will, like, if you need to go to see a doctor, whatever, you can let them know, okay? And hopefully you get them to listen to you. That's the next difficult part. So, but anyway, yeah, so I was, I'm trying to move, I'm trying to breathe, and so on and so forth. And then I wound up having difficulties with trying to get the test and so on and so forth. But ultimately, it all got worked out and so forth. And of course, it came back negative. So I'm just like, yeah, I was spot on. I already knew that definitely this is all because of everything that's been going on out there, with the air quality and everything, that happened with the steroid and so forth. But how do I deal with it? And I kept having this song going over and over in my head, driving me nuts. I couldn't place it. That's what was weird. It was like I'm like, I recognize it, but I couldn't place it. I was just like, oh my gosh. And then when I finally did, I was listening to it and listening to the lyrics, and there's this one section. It's actually a depressing song. Um, but there was this one section. I can't remember exactly how it goes, but basically they're talking about going back to how they were before they fell from grace. I know I keep my nose. I didn't take any allergy medicine yesterday or even last night. I just took some before I jumped up on here. But anyway, I know, and it just keeps itching and so forth. But anyway, so and I was just like, okay, yeah, that section of lyrics really hit me, and I was just like, okay, well, how do I do that? What what am I missing? And at the same time, too, I kept having this craving food, this particular food item all afternoon, too. Even though anytime I try and eat something, I'm getting horribly nauseous. So, and really nausea really was pretty much all day yesterday, but it got worse after trying to eat something. It's like, ugh, I didn't want to eat, but I have to eat because, of course, I'm a diabetic. So I was like, all right. Finally, I broke down. I had looked at possibly having something delivered, and there wasn't a delivery option unless I wanted to pay more money, which I didn't want to do, and so forth. And I finally broke down, and I'm just like, you know what? Just go over there, and there's only one store that sells this item. So I went over, got it, and got home, and it's something spicy. And that's the thing, when I'm feeling down, I have a tendency to crave spices. I just die for spicy foods, and depending on what it depends, of course, on what the craving is and so forth. Excuse me. In this case, what I kept craving was the spicy sausages from Hillshire Farms. And I like to take them, and if I have access to a charcoal grill, which I don't right now, I'll throw them on there. Otherwise, I'll just throw them up underneath the broiler in the oven, and throw some Lori's seasoning salt on top. Throw them in there, and then I like, of course, I like them on a hot dog bun. I'm not a fan of hot dogs. Another story, but anyway, those I just absolutely love. But anyway, that with some the jalapeno cheddar cheese dip from Fritos, from Frito Lay, the can that you get down the chip aisle. Throw some of that on top, and some Hormel chili without the beans. Throw that on top. And of course, if I have the cheddar cheese, I gotta have the spicy nachos from Doritos. Gotta have those too. I did have something that's a little bit more healthy. I had a nectarine. I've had a terrible nectarine craving this summer. And I did have a side of a glass of lemonade. And I was also craving some orange sugar ice cream. And it was so weird. I took one bite out of my sausage with all of its toppings, and whoosh, all those spices got right in there and just opened everything right up. And all night last night, all I kept tasting after, eating and so forth, all I kept tasting is that steroid inhaler. It had gotten itself lodged into my chest and, of course, throughout my body and so forth. But I just kept tasting that just coming up, that and all the smoke that all got lodged into my chest, and I just couldn't get it up itself. Even with taking my allergy medicines and so on and so forth, it just got itself all lodged right in here, and that's all I kept tasting. It wound up actually getting stuck in the back of my throat back here, and up into my nasal passages. It's one of the reasons why I'm so funky this morning. And what was really weird too is it created it caused the back of my throat and my, especially my back of my throat, but a little bit in my nasal passages, and my nasal passages got were kind of burning a little bit, and my back of my throat was burning, but it also felt numb. It was like when you get shot up with Novocaine, that sort of feeling. I kept getting there in the back of my throat, and it was just like, oh gosh. But I finally fell asleep, and I only intended to fall asleep for a couple hours because I still need to take my nighttime insulin. But I wound up sleeping a little bit longer, woke up and took care of that, and went back to bed. But yeah, definitely, even though I'm all funky and everything, it'll take a little bit for the allergy stuff to kick in. But I definitely feel a lot better. It's like I don't feel like my body is being depleted of oxygen, and that's how I kept feeling yesterday. And just like all of my cells in my body were just being depleted of oxygen, like all the oxygen in my body was just being sucked out. That's how I kept feeling yesterday. So, and I kept, I'm like, I gotta do something. I gotta figure something out. And when I took that first bite of that hot sausage, and I was actually reading the ingredients with the spices that's in it. It's black pepper, white pepper, red pepper, um, cumin, and oh shoot, I can't remember. Oh, was it cardamom? I don't remember. There was another one begins with a C. I can't remember. But it made sense because I know like the Hormel chili, it also has cumin in it, and I had seriously considered making a pot of chili, and I used cumin in my chili, and then of course the red chili powder and cayenne pepper. And that was the main reason why I was looking at the ingredients, wondering because I know cayenne is also a good healing agent, anti-inflammatory. So I was wondering if maybe that was the culprit. But in many ways, it made sense with reading those ingredients because I remember many years ago reading that peppers, black pepper anyway, is really good for helping to clear out your sinuses. So yeah, and it made a lot of sense, especially after I got that whoosh. I was just like, holy cow. And all that crud. And it wasn't, crud. When I say crud, I don't mean mucus. I really didn't cough up any of that sort of gunk. It was just the gases that I whooshed up, that I was getting up. It was just like everything just opened right up and whoosh. I was like, oh my gosh, I can breathe. Haven't been able to breathe for the last couple, how many days. So yeah, kind of counter intuitive with the inhaler. It's supposed to help you to breathe. Well, it did initially. I will give that credit, but for some reason, my body just wound up retaining it, and it wound up causing an anaerobic reaction throughout my body, especially in my chest. So that was kind of liberating, I guess you could say. So yeah, of course those sausages are a 6 pack. I'll keep those going. It, help keep me cleared up, and so far I love them anyway. I've been eating them. I think this is my third round. I love them things. I'm not always eating healthy, especially this summer. Oh my gosh, I've really got fallen off the wagon, the healthy wagon. Ah, man. So anyway, yeah, I thought I would um, share that what happened and everything. Who knows if it helps you, if you're having troubles and so forth, give it a shot. If you feel that you can handle it, you don't have to necessarily put all the stuff on. I've always loved that. I love spicy foods. I can't help. I'm one of those people when you go into like a Thai restaurant or an Asian a Chinese restaurant or something, and they ask you, what level heat you want, and they're broken English, and it's like 10. I'm one of those people, and they're like, "You sure? Very spicy." And I'm like, "Okay." I even hear recently, I had gone to get some. I really felt like some chicken wings, and I just went to the one grocery store that's right up the road here from me, and I was just like, oh, what kind of wings are those? They were real brown and everything, and they're like, oh, those are the spicy wings, and it's like, well, how spicy are they? And she's just, oh, they're really, really spicy, and I'm like, okay, challenge accepted. They weren't the least bit spicy, not by my standards anyway. I know it's like I go to but you gotta understand, I was raised in the South, and where we know spices. Okay. I realized that we're known for grits and collard greens, all this sort and oh, biscuits. Oh, actually, I'm not somebody who likes grits and collard greens. Ugh, can't. No, no, no. If I'm gonna have greens, I'm gonna have them raw. I just no. In a salad, no, and it's not gonna be collards. Um, but no, when it comes to spices, we know our spices. And I found it interesting with moving out here. Um, uh, with the differences, even after, because when I first moved out here, we didn't have like Popeye's chicken. They didn't really, not that I'm aware of anyway. They've really sprouted out up more and more so in like the last maybe 10, 15 years, something like that. But anyway, there may have been one location, but I didn't know about it. But anyway, I remember when I first started eating Popeye's chicken out here, it was like, okay, I went ahead and ordered the spicy because that's what I'm used to back east. And I was just like, you call this the spicy? This is the mild back there. Oh, total difference. Total difference. It was like, wow. But at least I got a decent Southern biscuit for the most part. It's very difficult getting decent Southern biscuits. Still on the heavy side, but at least it helps with the hankering. I'd have to say the best Popeye's chicken I ever had was uh, it was more of a truck stop sort of area. I was making my last trip, coming back east. I crisscrossed country 3 times by car, and that was my last time coming back east. And I had stopped off. It was on I-20 in Mississippi. Shoot, I can't remember the name of the town. It begins with an M. I remember that, and I stopped off at Popeyes there, and oh my gosh, that was good food. And the best uh, chicken all around that I ever had. Unfortunately, it's not there anymore. It was actually a Walmart. I stopped off at a Walmart just on the west side of Mobile. Um, it's not. Last I knew, it was had been converted over to a Sam's Club, and man, just getting some of the chicken there from the deli, and oh my gosh, that was so good. I do miss Southern food in many ways. Haven't been able to get it, so. But and actually, with researching here recently, I did find out there is a place up in Sparks that is North Carolina barbecue, and only that, they also sell Cheerwine, which really shocked me. I'm not much of a soda drinker anymore, but yeah, I would forgo the diabetes and grab a bottle of that. It's been, oh my gosh, probably a good 30 years since I've had some Cheerwine. It's like, yeah, I would do that in a heartbeat. Woo! But I kind of wonder too how authentic it is, even though they're displaying the North Carolina flag and everything. I'm like, and it looks right, but they sell it loose meat. I mean, when it comes to North Carolina barbecue, yeah, you can have it a couple, actually a few different ways. Well, the thing with North Carolina barbecue is it's slow cooked for 24 hours on a spit. It's basically pork butts on a spit, okay? And it's all loose meat and everything. When it's basically pulled pork, only different seasonings and so forth. Not like what I discovered what they consider to be pulled pork out here, especially with the Hawaiian influence. I was just like, no. This is disgusting. I'm sorry. It's not to my liking. But anyway, so you can have it either loose on a plate or you can have it served on a bun. Also, you could have barbecue sauce added to it. So, personally, I like it with barbecue sauce on a bun. That's my personal favorite. And but yeah, to find out that they also sell Cheerwine and also the orange cream soda. Oh my gosh, I haven't had that in ages either. And it's all sold in glass bottles on top of them. Like, holy cow! Now, if they could get some Utz potato chips, I mean, realize that you can at least get a limited variety of Utz potato chips out here now. They just started selling it a couple of years ago, something like that. So that it's like, oh, at least I can get rid of that hankering. But we need to advocate to get the kettle cooked. The kettle cooked brand that's sold out here. Okay, it kind of helps with a craving, but I know I'm getting out of food. But until you have the Utz brand of the kettle cook, oh, because they do it in peanut oil instead of the sunflower oil. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I need to take a trip back east just to get some decent food. Fortunately, you can order it, and I have ordered them in the past. Um, but yeah, it's and once unfortunately too, once you open up a bag and start eating it, you can't put it down. Yeah, Lay's has nothing on their potato chips as far as I'm concerned. Can't eat just one. I think it's Lay's or Ruffles. I don't know, but either way, whoever it is, that national brand is, sorry, y'all need to change your slogan. Hand it off to the real potato chip maker. So anyway, I know. So, um, how did I get on this? Oh yeah, my brain, the way it works. I'm such a foodie in so many ways. So anyway, I thought I would just drop up on here and let you know how I'm doing and so forth. Definitely doing better. I was thinking that maybe I might even try and do my yoga, but then again, I'm awfully hungry. I was just looking at the time. It's 10:30. I'm like, I'm awfully hungry. I should really eat something. I don't know. We'll see. I know. I'm a nutball. It's one of the things I love about me. You know what? And that's what matters most. Be yourselves. Okay? Be yourselves. No matter what anybody says. And don't get me wrong. Yeah, I taught myself as being, like a badass. And so in many ways I am. But at the same point, I'll be the first to admit that, like if I lose my temper or do something negative to somebody or what have you, I feel really guilty deep down inside in many ways. hmm It's like because it's something I'm learning. I'm not learning how to be a mean person and by any means. It's just more learning how to set and assert my boundaries, making sure that my boundaries that I'm sticking with those and everything. That's it's taking a little bit, especially since I was, I was an only child, and of course because of it, with being an only child, you get the brunt of all your parents' disciplines and so on and so forth. You don't have a sibling that you can blame things on. In other words, if something happens, even if it's not your fault, guess who gets the blame for it? Yeah. So anyway, yeah, but I was raised old school, don't speak unless spoken to, respect your elders, show respect for everybody, even if they're not your elders, show respect for people and so on and so forth. And then on top of that, being spending many of my years, excuse me, most of my years in the South with having, with the Southern etiquette, with holding doors open for people, saying thank you and yes, ma'am, and no, sir, and all that sort of stuff, that just built on top of it. And moving out west. with the culture out here, it was just a little bit of a culture shock. It was just like, wow, lots of disrespect just by Southerners' standards, anyway. And I know with the video that I shot yesterday about uh, coming up negative with the COVID test, and mentioning talking to us, having the luxury or the gift of being able to talk to a Southerner and that Southern etiquette and so forth. It was real. That was real special for me. It was really really nice, because it's like, yeah, I miss that in many ways. It's like I hold door open for somebody and don't even say thank you. It's like, why? Why would you do that? And I still yet I say you're welcome. It's like, I realize I'm not trying to get a gift or whatever, for being nice to somebody. But well, like it's just it's just common courtesy, like the other night I had gone when I had worked. I was picked up a delivery from a fast food restaurant. It's attached to a gas station, basically, and my hands were full of stuff, and still yet I seen this woman walking up, and I opened up the door for her since I was the first one at the door. She just barges right in, doesn't even say thank you. And she had nothing in her arms or anything. She just barges right in. I'm like, okay. Okay, she may have been preoccupied with something on her mind or something. I'll give her that and everything, but still, yeah. And see, that's the thing. In the South, I would have been able to call her out on that. It's like, mm-hmm. But I just went ahead and said, "You're welcome," and moved on. And okay, not a reflection on me or anything. Like I said, her mind may have been really preoccupied with something. I'll give her that and everything. But I know in the South, it wouldn't have mattered. And not that I'm trying to, it's just more common courtesy. But unfortunately, this is something I've ran into quite a lot, actually, out west. And that's why I mean, been a bit of a culture shock. Even though I've been here for almost 20 years, it's still a lot of things are still a bit of a culture shock. I know people can say, well, if you don't like it, then, well, that's the thing, because there's things that I like out here. There's actually a lot of foods that I like out here too, So it's like, it's give and take. And that's what it boils down to. It's give and take. Just, some things are a little bit to be desired. But hey, that's part of the growing process, not just regions or states or the different parts of the world or what have you, but as a race, as a human race, we're always it's part of the growing process. I mean, yeah, we have come a long ways as humans. Um, don't really find slavery anymore, that I know of. Okay, if it still, I mean, it may be taking forms or different. I know what I'm trying to say. It might be happening in different forms or what have you, but people actually, what I'm talking about, like what you used to see, over 100 years ago, things like that. Okay, and before, okay, like what we saw in this country, Roman times, so on and so forth. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. Um, but like I said, it may be in a different form or what have you, but I feel in many ways that we have grown quite a bit as humans. Um, but of course, we have a long ways to go, and we're getting there. It's just a process, just like with us individually. Our own growth experiences are a process as well. So, and you just have to take it, allow it to unfold in its due time. Don't try and rush it, okay? Because if we went from 0 to 60 in 1 second, what would happen? Yeah, that's it's called whiplash. Mm-hmm. So, and how are we to learn, actually learn anything if we're just having everything handed to us on a silver platter? How are we to learn and to actually remember to take that with us into the future to aid in other areas of growth? Okay, so a little bit of lesson there at the end. Aside from all my ranting, especially talking about food, now I've made everybody hungry. All right, I'm gonna let you go. All right, I love you all. I'll talk to you all soon.